Hey, it's football and other F words. I got this dog jumping up right into my crotch right when we start up. So it's football and other F words. The Pell Leg boys are here
That's
for
right.
now. We
That's
got
right.
Huxley and Havana. We're at my house. For those that may not know, Huxley's in a cone. He's had a little bit of eye procedure. I wouldn't say a surgery, but an eye procedure. And so we decided to shift gears, be home because my wife's working. And someone's got to be responsible adult around here.
We got to take care of Big Hux.
We got to take care of Big Hux. So we're going to talk all about the coaching carousel. Let me turn down my volume because I had to pull up the chat over on my phone.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I've got it going. Bustin's already in there tonight.
Yeah, he said, damn, I almost forgot it was Thursday. It's probably because he's been thinking about Kevin Stefanski nonstop. I mean, like...
Bustin' a big Stefanski guy?
Oh, yeah. Let me say this. I know... You have you're kind of pro Stefanski a little bit, but
I was,
and we'll get there. But you know how people defended Marcus Mariota no matter what?
Yeah,
he defends Kevin Stefanski no matter what. Like if Kevin Stefanski went and killed someone close to him, Bustin would be like, it's their fault.
Murder? That guy.
He's that guy. So let's go through first off. Stoney's here. How you doing? Senior Bowl coverage is coming up in a few weeks, brought to you by Lions Ford. So we'll be down at the Senior Bowl, as we are wont to be.
Yeah,
I want to do.
I'm going to start. I'm really starting to sink my teeth into the film of this class. So I'm going to start posting a little more action on socials there.
So since I've been on cover 2, you've been a little bit out of the loop.
Yeah.
So let's just go through real quick for our listeners, and our watchers. Go through where we're at on the interview process for the Tennessee Titans. Mike McCoy has already interviewed, former Titans head coach. He interviewed on Tuesday.
Okay.
That was likely an in-person interview unless they shipped him off and made him do, like, please move away.
Were they just, like, asking him questions while he was cleaning out his desk?
Yeah, maybe.
Does that count?
That may count. They were probably like, Blaine said that he would do that. Like, he would interview Mike McCoy, and I thought it was a great point. And a point that I didn't think of is like, yeah, Mike Bergonzi kind of knows the players, but he doesn't know the players. Like Mike McCoy now knows the makeup of the players that maybe he drafted, that he signed, and maybe that will help inform free agent and draft decisions.
Sure.
Vance Joseph, Broncos defensive coordinator, interviewed yesterday via Zoom, on Wednesday via Zoom. These can be 3-hour Zoom calls. Out. We'll talk more about Vance Joseph later, though, but I'm extremely out.
Oh, that's interesting.
I have a personal vendetta against Vance Joseph.
Did he hit you?
We'll have to see. He definitely hurt me.
Stay tuned, folks.
He definitely hurt me. I'll tell you that much. The day one effers will know what I'm referencing.
Okay.
Lou Anarumo, Colts defensive coordinator, interviewed on Wednesday. Listen, he's like, what, 59?
He's up. I thought he was going to say 67.
No, he's actually in his 50s. He just looks like he's in his 70s.
Yeah.
I'm out. Never been a head coach, not even at the high school level. Like, there's no head coaching ability there.
Yeah, and you start getting into some of those guys that have been lifer coordinators.
Right.
Why hasn't the Lou Anarumo conversation happened before?
Yeah. So Steve Spagnuolo, Chiefs defensive coordinator, and Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy did their Zoom calls today, presumably at some point during the day.
I kind of want to talk a little more Nagy tonight.
We'll be talking. Okay. Well, listen, nothing gets the people going like nagging for nagging.
I'm almost done with the Bobby Peters book on the 2018 Bears offense, and there's more stuff that we didn't talk about.
Oh, okay.
That I really want to bring up.
I hope my iPad recharges by then so I can bring up my notes. Jason Garrett, former Giants offensive coordinator, which I have a little conspiracy theory about why maybe he's getting interviewed, which kind of got debunked tonight, but just stay tuned for that. Okay. Kevin Stefanski, former Browns head coach, terrible hire, do not want. But we'll debate the merits of Kevin Stefanski because, I mean, Bustin needs some Stefanski love, or he'll probably leave us.
I think there's room for Stefanski love.
There you go. Raheem Morris, former Falcons head coach candidate, he'll be in both Garrett, Stefanski, Raheem Morris. So Garrett tomorrow, Stefanski Saturday, Morris Monday will be in person.
Okay.
Jeff Hafley, Robert Saleh, Art Smith, All three of those got announced today by PK. PK got those first.
He's been on it.
Well, he didn't get Saleh first, but he got the other two. So I'm going to give him all three.
Well, that's fine.
He got all three first. The Zoom for Hafley and Saleh can be as early as this coming Tuesday. Art Smith can be as early as this coming Wednesday. And then we got announced like an hour and a half ago. Cliff Kingsbury will for sure be getting an interview. They put in a formal request. Not crazy about that one.
Did I miss the news about the Doug Peterson interview?
No, you haven't.
Okay. I'm just waiting.
And here's the last one. Now that you mention it, here's the last one.
Who's that?
Mike McCarthy.
There we go.
Not Doug Peterson.
There we go.
Now, the wording on the tweets for Mike McCarthy is that he'll be interviewing in person next Saturday.
Which makes it sound like a week from 2 days from now.
Yeah. So I'm just curious about that. Yeah. But apparently maybe they're trying to make sure Brinker's on vacation because they hate each other.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
There you go. There you go. So that's it right there. So we talked a little bit about Mike McCoy. Let's just go past Mike McCoy.
Okay. I just want to say, to put a bow on it, I think Mike McCoy did a commendable job with the shit show he was given as the interim coach of the Titans. I would wish if Mike McCoy's watching right now, I just want to say thanks.
Hire me.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. You done good.
And then please, when you go to be senior offensive assistant somewhere, I'll be the assistant to the senior offensive assistant.
Yeah, I'll get your coffee or whatever.
I'll be the junior senior offensive assistant.
Whatever Pete Carroll's kid was doing out in Las Vegas, that's what I'll do.
Vance Joseph. So day one effers will know, because Mike brought it up this morning, and I think he kind of forgot initially when I was bagging on Vance Joseph. But day one effers will know, because our Football Know the F Words, back in 2017, 2018, when it started, Vance Joseph was coach of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
And it started out notoriously as a fantasy football podcast.
You guys were talking about your league, right?
Yeah, we're talking about our league. So we give a little league updates, and we talk about the Titans, and then we talk about the broader NFL, because at that point we were doing two shows on Wednesdays. I drafted. The running joke in our league is I could not stay away from Denver running backs, which pretty much was true for a long time. But every week I would complain about the asinine usage of those running backs under Vance Joseph and the stupidity of some of his in-game coaching decisions. I don't think I've ever watched as much Denver Broncos as I did during the Vance Joseph era. And he was one of the worst in-game decision managers. It's not his schemes or anything like that that I'm necessarily worried about, but in-game management. If you guys think Brian Callahan was bad, did you know that Vance Joseph was 4th and 1, Cleveland 6? So very close. And the last two plays, his running backs got 2 yards. So he actually put out the worst decision ever by kicking the field goal, by win probability added. Instead of going from a 70-something win probability, it ended up being a 40-something win probability.
Dang.
It was one of the biggest swings in decision-making. And he did that almost every week. He didn't know how to handle a timeouts. And at a certain point, because it went, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Vance Joseph, Vic Fangio, Nathaniel Hackett. The running gag for me was like, all three of those guys were fucking terrible when they got to Denver. Like, and I know they're not stupid.
Yeah.
Right. But they sure did act like it.
Yeah.
Well, Nathaniel Hackett's debatable. But, like, it was insane, the in-game decision-making and the weird personnel usage. And by the way, maybe you want this. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could keep Mike McCoy around since they work together.
Hey,
Mike McCoy used to be his OC.
Hey, there you go. Well, that's my door to becoming the offensive line coach.
Yeah, there you go.
Mike put in a good word for me.
And, like, I get Davis Webb, like the infatuation with Davis Webb. And I am willing in certain situations. Huxley, you have a cone on your head. What are we doing here with this boat?
He's trying.
You go back. Trying. You go away, Havana. But anyway, I get the love for Davis Webb, because if you get Vance Joseph, you get Davis Webb. More than likely.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee.
Now, that would be
go ahead.
An actual play calling position for Davis Webb.
Right.
Not just quarterback's coach or whatever he is now.
Yeah, and for me, let me find the tweet. So Vance Joseph led the Broncos during his tenure to the longest losing streak in 50 years for Denver. First shutout loss in 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
First loss at home to the Bengals since 1975. First loss to the Browns since 1990. First loss to Cleveland in Denver in 46 years. And consecutive losing seasons for first time since 1972. That was Vance Joseph's resume by the end of his tenure. And it was one of the worst. I think he only won like 5 or 6 games or something crazy like that.
But what has he learned since then?
Well, who knows? Because he's only been a defensive coordinator, so he's never had to do anything for in-game management again.
Yeah, so I don't know. I remember things not ending very well in Denver, that it was one of those situations that got to a point where it's like, yeah, he's got to go.
It's just absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, just I don't know. I go back to the roster component of it, and I know that he's done a fantastic job with the Denver Broncos defense.
Right.
But also look at the talent that he has to work with. That's a good defensive roster. They've made
several first-round picks, I believe.
Good picks. You've got the reigning defensive player of the year. I think he's the reigning. Surtain won it last year? Defensive player of the year? Or was it the year before?
Yeah, that was last year.
So, the dude has some talent. I just, again, go back to, what's going to be different this time?
Well, and you would hope Davis Webb, but my problem with Davis Webb with Vance Joseph is, if Vance Joseph sucks as a head coach, how are we going to be able to evaluate Davis Webb?
Maybe Davis Webb just becomes the head coach.
Right, but then are we just promoting Davis Webb too early? Like, for me, it's just like, and I get why they're probably bringing him in, is to see if he's changed. Because let me tell you something. For all the talk about him being a head coach, he is a tremendous, Brian Flores, Vance Joseph, 2 best defensive minds. Maybe Vic Fangio, too. I shouldn't live off Vic Fangio.
Say,
3 of the best defensive minds right there, where you could take your choice. Is how chef's choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get that schematically, and he's still relatively young. I think he's only like 51 or 52.
Yeah.
So I get the reason of bringing him in to interview them, to maybe peek some ideas about schematics, what he maybe can provide, just look at his staff. But at the end of the day, don't think I'll ever be able to get over. I'm tired of the Titans, and I guess they're really not this, but let's stop taking chances and being someone else's redemption. Let's go for the more proven guys, or go for someone completely unknown. Yeah. I'm kind of up in the air about Matt Nagy. I think it's going to be Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is probably 5th in my top 5.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just looking at this team and I'm like, yeah, Vance Joseph relates to players. Really good on the defense. I just don't know about the offense. Okay, and let's take it one step further. And we'll cap it off with this before we get to final thoughts of Vance Joseph. John Elway was on the Shannon Sharp After Hours podcast, whatever it's called, Golden Shower podcast or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was on that,
mm-hmm.
and he said his biggest regret as a general manager was not being more authoritative and decisive with his own decisions and trusting his gut, because he wanted to draft Josh Allen.
Ooh.
And Vance Joseph and that coaching staff talked him out and said, draft Bradley Chubb.
I was about to say, that was the
and Bradley Chubb's over in Miami right now.
Yeah, and he's been an okay guy, but not.
So that was a coaching staff-driven decision.
Yeah.
And that kind of also scares me a little bit about Robert Saleh, because he wanted Will McDonald over JSN. That kind of scares me a little bit about there. But, I can maybe write off some of that off of Joe Douglas is an idiot too. But John Elway said, I should have stuck to my guns, should have trusted my gut. And that's what you want your GM to do.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you don't want your coaches to influence the decision. You want your GM to do it. And I heard that and I'm just like, you know who his quarterbacks were at the time? Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler. You didn't want to take a chance on Josh Allen? But hey, I need Bradley Chubb for my defense because I have Brock Osweiler and Trevor Siemian. So I guess I'm going to roll with these guys. So let's go defense.
Yeah, that's the risk you run. I'm curious, like, what is it about Vance Joseph? Because you talk about like brilliant defensive minds. Vic Fangio, I'm not hearing his name pop up a lot for interviews. So what is it about Vance Joseph that is translatable to the head coaching position and not just the coordinator?
I think it's his relatability to the players because I've heard like he's a players coach.
Yeah.
He relates to the players. He can motivate the players. And so I do get that aspect of it too when you're talking about like the buzzword of this year is accountability for the Titans.
Right.
I understand it. Like I totally understand why they are looking at it from that direction. Is like, well, I mean, every defense he touches, all the players are motivated and they're all good, even if it's short arm Nick Bonito or this or that. Like he gets the best out of everybody on his defense.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe,
which is kind of,
and maybe Davis Webb can be the head coach of the offense.
Yes. But it kind of, I don't know, it sounds eerily similar to a situation the Titans are just getting out of where Brian Callahan was the guy with the offense, but he wasn't as present on the defensive side. Remember the story was like, oh, he's popping into defensive meeting rooms now all of a sudden, and players are happy to see him. So it's kind of the inverse of that, where he had Denard Wilson that could just run everything on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And it didn't really work out because the players wanted the head coach's presence there as well. So, I mean, is that a potential risk of a guy like Vance Joseph?
That's what it feels like to me, is like you could probably do worse in a cycle than Vance Joseph. I just go back to the in-game management. Like I could talk myself into, if Vance Joseph had a Mike McDaniels or Matt Nagy type of career where he's barely above 500.
Yeah.
And hey, I know it was only 2 years, but maybe you went 8-8 and 7-10.
Yeah.
Even Art Smith, if you were 7-10.
Yeah.
I could talk myself into Vance Joseph. And sitting here talking about it, if Vance Joseph really wanted just to focus on the defense, everybody has said that Davis Webb is the next head coach and waiting for someone somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. You hire Davis Webb, and he is that dude. He is a motivator. He holds you accountable. He's straightforward, is everything that we have heard. And he's that dude. He meshes well with Cam. How long does he stay, and what happens to Vance Joseph after he leaves?
I mean,
that's the thing. Is like, who's that guy?
Here's the 5D chess move. You hire Vance Joseph so that you get Davis Webb, and then after a year, you fire Vance Joseph and promote Davis Webb.
Do what a lot of people wanted them to do with Art Smith and Mike Vrabel.
Yes. yes.
They were all like, let's fire Mike Vrabel instead of keep it Art Smith. Or keep Art Smith. There wasn't a lot of people, but there were some people there. There was some people.
Like, wow, we can't let him go.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like, what happens once Davis Webb leaves? Because I don't think Davis Webb and Vance Joseph are going to instantly be able to have a replacement similar to LaFleur and Art Smith.
And it feels like we're in another one of those situations where if we're talking about the most a potential head coach offers the position is another coach who he might bring with him, that should tell you something about the head coach choice.
Right.
So I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about Vance Joseph until I heard Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show going through the coaching carousel. And he was like, yeah, teams are really going to be interested in Vance Joseph. And I was like, just driving along in my Kia Forte, like, why?
Lions Ford Kia Forte.
Lions Ford Kia Forte.
Lou Anarumo, I don't want to spend any time on Lou Anarumo. Is that all right with you?
That's fine with me.
Okay. There you go. There's your Lou Anarumo. Steve Spagnuolo. I don't want to spend any time on Steve Spagnuolo either.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah. Bless those old men.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jason Garrett, because I do think there's an interesting conversation to be had about Jason Garrett.
Yeah, you have a conspiracy theory, right?
Well, I did have a conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory was that he was the Mike McCarthy backup to learn about the Eric Coryell offense, which they'll get a head start on it.
Okay.
I think the Eric Coryell is probably the best fit for Cam Ward. Does not mean that he does not fit anywhere else, but I think that's his best fit in the offense system.
The main components of this offense, like deep shots over.
Yeah, it goes. You read your shots deep to shallow.
Yeah,
and so in some instances, and I think the way that Mike McCarthy and Jason Garrett teach, it's deep to your guy.
Yeah,
deep to the guy to the outlet, and now that kind of limits your route tree and stuff, but that typically seems to be the way that they run that system.
It's also not so timing based as like the Shanahan McVay stuff, where everything has to kind of be perfect and in rhythm. I think that system kind of allows for a little more creativity, which is something that helps Cam.
Right. Yeah, and so
freelancing.
We kind of talked about. I don't know how much you heard of Cover 2 today, but we kind of talked about the timing thing. It's like we know Cam Ward can throw on time.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the Shanahan, that specifically the Shanahan system. Now, Mike McDaniel's Shanahan system, I feel like, is a little bit more loose than the regular Shanahan system.
Mike McDaniel did some things.
Yeah. But the Kyle Shanahan system that everybody kind of wants to duplicate, you have to be a robot with your timing. It's not just you have to be a robot as a quarterback. Your wide receivers have to be supreme route runners that know where they have to go and when they have to get there, because it is rhythm based. But it's not a system that I feel. I mean, at least the Shanahan specific version of it.
Yeah,
McVay's probably a little bit looser, but the Shanahan McVay version of it, it does not feel like that is a situation where you really want to force square peg round hole with Cam Ward.
I'd be curious. This is like a separate drunk at the bar rabbit hole to go down, but McVay evolves so much. I wonder how much of what he did this year is really like how far has he
departed
gone from that? Yeah, because I know, like watching them getting ready for the Titans game in week 2, like some of the stuff they were doing was like, this is not the offense that. This is not the same offense that it was before.
Well, and I think that is a credit to Sean McVay for always evolving. And then you look at Mike McDaniel, and he puts an entirely new spin on it, and it's based on outs too, right? Like, so it's totally different than even how Shanahan traditionally attacks. I think Clint Kubiak is probably the closest out of the Shanahan tree so far. I thought Mike LaFleur kind of did a poor man's version of it. It was just terrible up in New York.
I will say, old boy down in Houston is doing a commendable job with it, but you could tell early on he was still kind of getting the feel for play calling.
But
all those systems, like largely the thread that ties them together is the timing aspect.
And someone brings it up is like, there's got to be a little bit of looseness to the game with timing, because every offense is all about timing. Like, you can't be a late quarterback. You can't hold the ball like Cam Ward is wont to do.
Yeah.
As long as he is. So every offense has timing elements to it. It's just like, how can you adapt the right timing elements of the offense to the right quarterback? Eric Coryell makes sense. And I think the Andy Reid type of offense makes sense. I mean, you think of Donovan McNabb, Patrick Mahomes, Cam Ward, they're all kind of similar in that, they can stand in the pocket and pass. They can shoot it down the field just as well as anybody else in the league. But, that kind of little bit of off script and a little bit of freedom is kind of what gets them going. I think there's a little bit of that to Sean Payton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like Drew Brees, Bo Nix, a little bit of that. Not as much, but so that's why Davis Webb could possibly work, or even a Kellen Moore. So, like, that's why I'm big into the Eric Coryell, big into Andy Reid-esque West Coast offense.
Reid West Coast, yeah. And I don't want to jump the gun, but Nagy was doing some of that stuff with Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. So I just feel like that is a more intuitive, natural fit for Cam Ward than
siblings, right? Am I right?
Yeah, they're
that's baby sister annoying the shit out of Huxley while he's not feeling good.
I know he's the look on his face now.
Okay, where did we get to? Why were we talking about that? Let me go back to.
We were talking about
Jason Garrett.
We
got way off on Jason Garrett.
Yeah,
but I thought at one point that he was going to be like your poor man's Mike McCarthy to get a glimpse in the Eric Coryell. And when Blaine heard that he was getting hot or getting an interview, he reached out to a few people, and I wish I had time today to cut the audio so we could play it.
Yeah,
But he essentially said that the people told him he's an all right play caller, not the best, which is not a ringing endorsement for offensive coordinator play caller.
No.
But they say he is a CEO head coach. Like he has all the makings of being a CEO head coach. Surprisingly fiery, surprisingly holds you accountable. So maybe there's an element there that we're missing. And maybe it's just because Dave Bergonzi, Mike Bergonzi's brothers on staff and all that kind of stuff. But I do think there's something there that has piqued their interest for one reason or another.
How do you remember, because I don't, how things ended with Dallas? Like, was it a bottoming out? Did he ever get to a point where it was like,
well, we were looking at
2 or 3 wins?
He's kind of an 8-8 guy.
Yeah. So like I don't, my gut reaction was kind of like, wow, he's been out of the game for, a little bit, but I did not think it as laughable as most Titans fans did, because I was thinking the offensive thing is like, the guy still knows his stuff and he has the experience. Like, he fits the archetype of what they're...
And he's probably built a lot of relationships traveling to all these places, interviewing all these coaches, and probably has gleaned a lot of ideas and insight. Yeah.
So, like, it kind of makes sense for them to at least talk to him.
But there's no way this team hires Jason Garrett as a head coach.
I don't know.
If they hire Jason Garrett as head coach, I think it'd be worse than hiring Matt Nagy.
What about Mike McCoy? Where would it rank?
Okay, I think I've softened my stance on what I originally put out was like interviewing Mike McCoy makes more sense than interviewing Jason Garrett.
It's a good
but
line,
I have softened my stance on that because I do think it's kind of Mike McCoyish.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the good conversations here. We're not going to go Nagy yet. Let's save the best for last. Okay. That will really piss people off. They hate when you say Nagy's the best.
I do think it's going to be Nagy.
Oh, yeah, it is. But we've been saying that since Brian Callahan got fired, even though everybody wants to tell us, oh, you don't value relationships. Well, if you listen to Dan Pompei this morning, they might as well just go on dates all the time, the way they're eye fucking each other. Kevin Stefanski.
What about him?
I think he's just Brian Callahan.
Well,
and let me clarify that. I think he's a better offensive play caller than Brian Callahan. But I think his leadership style, his demeanor, the way he carries himself is very Brian Callahan-esque.
Well, I will say that we are hearing some of the stuff come out of Cleveland from players that sounds an awful lot like some of the players were saying after Brian Callahan was canned. I think at one point, Stefanski was, I don't know. I don't want to pretend like I can just pull from coordinator rankings that I keep every year. But Stefanski was one of those guys that I love to watch because he was so good at game planning and like knowing how to attack an opposing defense. It felt like 4 years in a row there, the Browns and Titans were playing like every year. And it felt like he always knew exactly how to attack Mike Vrabel's defense.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff. Remember how people used to get so mad at Mike Vrabel for the defensive backs playing 10 yards off? And Shane Bowen was, in the crossfire every week from fans because you've got corners that are playing 10 yards off or whatever.
About to take off. Do you hear that?
I hear that. Yeah, it's starting to smoke over there. Well, Stefanski would take advantage of that in the route concepts that would push downfield, put somebody on a post or over the top that would carry defensive back with it, isolate the matchup, and then just have receivers throttling down. And he would just dink it. They would dink and dunk. They would get like 6 to 7 yards at a time and just mow down the Titans defense. But like studying his tape for those games, it's like, oh man, he really does this based on every defense that he plays.
Yeah.
And so I always thought, man, this is a guy that knows how to attack defenses. has the rhythm, the feel for the game to attack it in the moment, can adjust, like works with what he has really well. But then you look at it in hindsight, it's like, okay, well, those were some pretty good rosters. It's not like he was making chicken salad.
A lot of people think that he had terrible rosters, and I'm like, I don't think he had terrible rosters. I kind of feel like it was, and maybe it's just a Browns curse, but that offensive line was really good.
It was, yeah. It had some good running backs. Like, I know the receiver position has been kind of a stain for that organization for quite some time, but like they had players and the defense was good. Like he, it's not like they asked him to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And then when you see when the roster does start, like they have a couple of subpar draft classes. They can't really figure out personnel at the skill positions. Like David Njoku has been nice. They got a guy now in Harold Fannin Jr., but like Jerry Jeudy, they haven't really figured out how to incorporate him.
Unless he plays against the Titans.
Yeah. So like you start seeing like, okay, well, he's not figuring out what to do with the personnel he has. And
including the quarterback.
The decision to go with Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders is just, I
get going with Joe Flacco because if you look at Stefanski's history, even as offensive coordinator, Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco are the two best quarterbacks he's coached in his two best probably offensive performances as a play caller. And those are two, I know it's going to sound crazy because it's like Joe Flacco, Kirk Cousins, but those are two really good quarterbacks that have a certain play style that I think really fits what Stefanski wants, which is under center, play action, run game.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want you to, he's very Shanahan in the sense of, I want you to do it my way.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is that worked for a little bit with Baker, and then he didn't continue to adapt and evolve with Baker.
Mm-hmm.
And then him and Baker gets injured, but him and Baker start butting heads. And listen, a lot of it is due to Baker's maturity is like the catalyst, right? That's what lit the fuse. But Kevin Stefanski's still holding dynamite in his hand to kill them both.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, he decided not to throw away the dynamite. He's going to hold it until the very end. And then you can go read tons and tons of articles over at The Athletic. I've come to find out that even back then, I understand that Baker was a lot to deal with, but he wasn't a Johnny Manziel and Isaiah Wilson. He wasn't a Jamarcus Russell. He was a guy that was competitive and wanted to win and was a little immature because he got all the commercials and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he wants to win. He is an ultra alpha competitor, kind of similar to someone that is here at the Tennessee Titans.
Sure.
And when you're losing, everything sucks.
Yeah.
When you're injured and losing, everything sucks worse. When you're injured and losing and your coach has lost trust in you, it is the worst situation you ever want to be in. And that's your job as head coach.
Yeah.
Not just offensive coordinator, play caller, but as head coach, you took the job knowing what Baker was and who he was at his core. And you did not meet him in the middle whatsoever or work with him to pull him out of whatever he's in. And you gave up.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stefanski even just wouldn't show up to meetings, and Baker's like, why aren't you showing up to meetings? I need you in the room.
Yeah.
That's from The Athletic. Then, because that relationship deteriorated, you go to Deshaun Watson, that forces, you could say they didn't have to trade for Deshaun Watson, but they had to get a quarterback, and they thought Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback at the time. And I am sure they asked Kevin Stefanski, and I am sure Kevin Stefanski said, yeah, I can work with him. Here's what I can do. Because after they signed him or traded for him, Stefanski had a whole reel, showed him everything that he could do with him under his system, under center, play action, running the ball. This is how you fit in my system. Deshaun Watson's like, I'm more of a shotgun guy. And for 2 years, they tried it Stefanski's way. 2 years of Deshaun Watson looking like shit, getting the crap kicked out of him because he's not fitting in that system. Is the third year is when they decide to change and get Ken Dorsey and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, Well, that's 3 years too late, bud, for you to adapt your system.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the whole Gabriel Sanders thing, which we don't have to really go into. But all that to say is that Cam Ward is not a play action under center quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, I want him to be that, but he is not that. So that to me is why I'm kind of out on Stefanski, the head coach.
It's a point of friction already before he's even stepped foot in the building.
I'm out on Stefanski, the head coach, and Stefanski, the offensive coordinator, because I've seen him only really, truly excel with one type of quarterback, and that's not Cam Ward.
Yeah. So,
not to mention all the accountability issues, Myles Garrett constantly wanting out, friction between him and Myles Garrett. The defense has really carried the offense these last few years. And, you know, the Grant Delpit, both Grant Delpit and who's the corner? Denzel Ward.
Denzel Ward,
both talking about the same stuff that we heard on Locker Cleanout Day from Jeff and Cam. The same stuff that we heard from Jeff and Cam a few weeks ago and weeks before that. And those are counterintuitive to that's what Mike Bergonzi said he's looking for. The things that they're looking for was not there with Stefanski.
Yeah, and you draw that parallel to Brian Callahan. I would also say there's a parallel to Mike Vrabel with Kevin
and don't
Stefanski.
forget the 2-point conversions.
That
put that
too.
in the chat.
Yeah. Oh,
we saw that firsthand.
We saw that. Yep. I think there's a parallel to Mike Vrabel too, in that with Stefanski, stylistically, completely different personalities, completely different head coaches, but what we saw with Vrabel was the personality was acceptable when the Titans were winning games.
Right.
And for the Browns, like his personality was acceptable when he was coach of the year. They were winning games. They were going to the playoffs. When it wore off pretty quickly and the bottom kind of fell out. And when you start losing those games, that's when the personality is not like grading like Mike Vrabel's was, but it's like, we need more from you. Like we need, like, do something. The meme where you're poking something with a stick, telling it to do something. It's like the accountability, the fire, that sort of thing. It feels like there's a little bit of that was missing from Stefanski and the Browns. So either way you slice it, it doesn't sound good for the Titans.
Yeah. I mean, like, Bustin put in the chat because he's got to defend his boy Stefanski.
Yeah,
the worst hill to die on, by the way. He says, Denzel Ward said, I read a quote from Denzel Ward saying Kevin was a great coach to play for, but you're ignoring what he's telling you he's looking for in a head coach. He could be a great coach, but he can also not hold anybody accountable. You can be a great coach and not a great leader.
Yeah, sure.
That sounds counterintuitive, but that's what you get. They're telling you he did not hold them accountable.
Yeah.
That is what that's what they're saying. When someone says, remember when Mike Vrabel got fired and everybody was like, we're doing collaboration, communication, open communication, and all that, blah, 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 blah. That's them telling you they didn't get that.
Yeah.
That they didn't get collaboration. He says, Denzel Ward says, we need assertiveness, just holding people accountable. Grant Delpit says, a good leader, someone fiery who will help guys get to that mentality of playing ball. It's more than X's and O's. Stefanski, like you said at the top of this discussion, great at the X's and O's.
Good game planner.
But the stuff that the Tennessee Titans are looking for, because we were even talking about how Brian Callahan was pretty good at the X's and O's coming off of last year.
Good scheme, good play design.
But they're telling you the same stuff.
Yeah.
That your players here in Nashville are telling you they want. They want that and crave that in Cleveland because they didn't get it. If they were getting that, but we needed someone that's better at in-game management or better. If we need someone better at the strategy and the game planning.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't say the stuff about the good leader or someone fiery.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you got to start reading in between the lines. You can't ignore this overwhelming amount of evidence that as dysfunctional as the Browns are and the Jets are in these bad organizations, the Titans, you can't ignore the coach's role in that dysfunction.
Yeah.
Like Mike Vrabel is a good head coach.
Yeah.
He played a massive role in the dysfunction of the Tennessee Titans.
Sure.
Couldn't go and talk to Amy Adams Strunk at all. Didn't care that he bothered her. Didn't care, and went up there and kind of flaunted in everybody's face how great the Patriots are. He was, his shtick wore thin. He wasn't adaptable. He didn't have a good staff. Like, he led to this Titans dysfunction.
Yeah.
Just like John Robinson led to it by not, closing off all the doors, and I am the analytics department, not to mention the drafts, but like, those people can lead to the dysfunction, not just owners and not just players.
Yeah, well said.
There you go.
Got nothing to add. This motherfucker's
mic drop. That's a mic drop. All right. Let's go to
let's just look at our legs.
I mean, they are white.
How fine they are.
I know. Well, they are muscular. Okay. We talked to Kevin Stefanski. Raheem Morris. I just want to stop on Raheem Morris real quick because I think he got a raw deal in Atlanta by being saddled with Terry Fontenot. I think Terry Fontenot was a terrible GM.
But, just a quick tangent.
Yeah.
We talked about this situation with Brian Callahan where the GM goes, the coach usually goes. And now this Atlanta and Miami both.
And I agree. Like, I get why they did it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Raheem Morris got a bum deal. But that does not mean I want Raheem Morris as head coach here.
Well, I mean, that would be third time's a charm for him.
Yeah, but I mean, that rarely ever happens, to be honest. Mm-hmm. You have to have some kind of success
like
at some
McCarthy.
point. Yeah. So for me, it's like Raheem Morris satisfies at least one part of the Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
Because it's an in-person interview. You have to have 2 in-person interviews. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also gain insight on Chris Shula, maybe gain insight on Zach Robinson as a potential offensive coordinator, maybe Jeff Ulbrich as a potential defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can gain some insight from Raheem Morris about other candidates, about his system, leadership style, because I do think there's a good head coach in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I just can't. Again, I don't want the Titans to be the ones to have to risk it for a third time.
Yeah, and it was just such a weird year in Atlanta where, what was the stat? They were eliminated from playoff contention the beginning of December, and still finished in a 3-way tie atop the division.
Isn't that crazy?
Lost it because of tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Like, so weird, like the way that team lost games. And then they beat who they beat. It's just a weird season in Atlanta that I'm surprised led to GM and coach being cleared out.
I'm not surprised by the GM, but I am a little surprised about Raheem Morris. I thought that maybe he would get a shot because obviously he would probably have good relationships with quality general manager candidates. But I totally get the philosophy: fire one, fire all. Totally understand it. But I do feel a little bit. I do feel Raheem Morris got a little bit of a raw deal. He did go 8-9 2 seasons in a row, whereas Art Smith went 7-10 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, so
or 3 seasons in a row.
It's a case where I feel like he's one of the few candidates here that was fired, but could have justifiably stayed on.
Hey, I did it.
What? What'd you do?
Bustin's off on Stefanski. I did it.
Hey.
That's all I wanted. I just don't want Stefanski. I'm sorry. And listen, he may go somewhere and maybe he takes a year off.
Yeah.
That's my advice for Stefanski. If we had, let's say Brian Callahan at least showed a little bit of improvement and then he bottomed out next year, but Stefanski was somewhere else for a year, I'd be willing to go back to Stefanski because he probably learned a little bit, cooled off, and all that kind of stuff. It's just a wrong time for Stefanski.
I was just about to say it's the timing. The timing is off right now because the things that he is lacking in are also the things that the Titans are lacking in and they want. So he's not going to fill their needs.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like some of this stuff, some of these guys that we're talking about, it's more of you got to have improvement almost instantly.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure. I need Stefanski to go somewhere else and prove that he could be an offensive coordinator at the very least. And I don't want that to be us. I don't want to be the proving ground for failed head coaches.
Yeah, for sure.
New head coaches, I'm okay with being the proving ground.
Yeah.
Those typically end up right more often than not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go to Art Smith real quick. Do you have any interest in Art Smith as a head coach?
Not really, but like, no.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't get it. I don't get the sect of the fan base that is calling for Art Smith.
There's probably the same sect that called for Mike Vrabel to be fired to keep Art Smith.
That's right. You're probably right. Yeah, it's probably the same people. I just don't know. He strikes me as he's just a really good offensive coordinator.
If he's even that right now. It's debatable. He's doing stuff I would have never, since going to Atlanta, he's been doing stuff offensively that I would never have expected the 2019-2020 Art Smith to do.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Like, we know he's a good offensive coordinator if you give him Derrick Henry, AJ right. Brown, and Ryan Tannehill.
Right. It's just so odd what he's turned into. Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh,
where are you at? I've seen a lot of people make the leap that Cam Ward would cook in the air raid.
Yeah,
I think he could, but are you looking for meals every night, a home meal delivery service, or are you looking for a one-time flash in the pan? Because the air raid is just not sustainable in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't. You'd have to adapt it, and that's where we haven't seen Kingsbury adapt it, and just like Dan Quinn saying, "Hey, man, we should run the ball a little more." It was like enough. Like, that's where you draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's not a very good. It's not a good reflection of Kingsbury's attitude, because you have a system that has shown flashes but not sustained success.
That's why they always trail off.
And you're not going to hear the head coach when he says maybe we should tweak a few things. Like, it would be different if he was out there running, the Shanahan scheme the way Kyle Shanahan does it, and Dan Quinn's like, no, we got to change this because it's working. But we've seen now in 2 stops that the offense really peters out. And
yeah,
I am of the opinion that I think he kind of got a little bit of a raw deal in Arizona as well, because we're seeing Kyler Murray's not exactly the easiest puzzle piece to solve. It's not,
But how much of that is because Cliff Kingsbury may have ruined it?
Well, I don't
that's know. What we don't know. That's what sucks.
Know. Yeah, because I tend to
apparently
think
Gannon and Kyler Murray apparently had a tremendous relationship.
Yeah.
But Kingsbury and him did not.
And that's where things soured, and ultimately the organization sided with Murray. And then Gannon comes in, Drew Petzing. I thought they showed some flashes as well, but that's the thing that causes pause for me is like, well, like Murray just hasn't gotten over that hump, regardless of who the coach is. He just hasn't ascended to that next level. I didn't think
he was that good of a player anyway. Because I don't think he loves football the necessary amount to be great.
I agree. And that's
Cliff's guy. Cliff wanted him because here's what happened. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here just real quick. Cliff couldn't recruit Kyler Murray to his school.
Yeah.
And because he failed to get him, he desperately wanted him in the draft. And he's the reason. Listen, I'm not saying that they should have kept Josh Rosen. Don't get me wrong.
I was about to say, man,
But I mean, he was the driving force. We got to get Kyler. We got to draft Kyler no matter what.
Yeah.
And their whole offseason was built around making sure they got Kyler. So you got the quarterback that fits his system. They find a little bit success. But if you go back to when Cliff was getting fired, every defense, there was all these reports where all the defenses were like, yeah, this is a really easy system to figure out by the end of the year.
Yeah. And so we started to see some of that happening in Washington as well. And if you're not willing to adapt, that's the thing that ultimately makes me pause with Kingsbury, because I do think there's something there with him. I mean, the guy's clearly smart, and I think his offenses have had success in the NFL. It's just like, dude, you got to kind of roll with the punches a little bit. You've got to counter to what defenses are doing to it. And it seems like there is a bit of stubbornness there that hasn't really been earned, I don't think.
Right. And that's my issue, is that he's so stubborn. It's really weird. If you go back to an article in January of this year, there was a huge article where he is talking about everything that he learned, how he changed.
Yeah.
He opened up to his players, got really emotional. Even Zach Ertz said, "Man, you would never have saw the Arizona Cliff do this."
Mm-hmm.
He adapted his system. He did this, he did that, and the players love being in his system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, it's a totally different Cliff. And that's my issue when it comes to Cliff Kingsbury, is like, he can get you one good year. If you want a good bump for 1 year, that's your guy. Like, if you want him to come in, he's like Chip Kelly, who you bring in if you want a tank. Like, he's your one guy.
Yeah.
Like, bring him in. He's a mercenary offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what happened down in Washington last week. So there was a divide in what style of offense to run moving forward, according to multiple team sources, with Quinn wanting to run the ball more to control the clock and help the defense. The Commanders ran 349 more no-huddle plays than any other team, which kills the defense, by the way. Last week, Quinn said Kingsbury's no-huddle offense had an element of preparation for a defense, but he stopped short of endorsing the approach. For sure, there's elements that, okay, that's good, that's not. I would say you want to make sure you always are emphasizing things that you could do best. And so, do they tie together the runs to passes? And I think that's something that we'll continue to look at. But it's all about the player also, and how do they function best, and how does the team function best? With Jaden being comfortable into that space, not everybody works in his space. But he and Marcus are certainly confident, familiar with that. Washington ranked 9th in number of rushes, but only 25th in runs by its running backs.
Damn.
So 9th in rush attempts as a team, but 25th in rushing attempts by the running backs. The Commanders ranked 3rd in number of carries by quarterbacks, including scrambles. They finished 1st a year ago.
Man, and that's just not a way to live in the NFL.
But that's what he does. I mean, that you go back to Arizona, that's what he does.
It really is like a college philosophy that it's the cliche. It's the college offense gets solved right away.
He goes, this is from Cliff, being able to run the football like we've been able to, and running it basically more than anybody in the league this year, is unique to me and new. And that's the style that we needed to play, Kingsbury said recently. He says, but he also remained bullish on his no-huddle approach. I've seen it done at a high level, whether it's Arizona or here at a very high level, and won games and had lots of yards, lots of success in that regard. I'm pretty confident in that style of play, when the pieces are there, that you can play a really high level, and it's very challenging offensive to stop. That's fine, but it's also, in Arizona, it also proved to be unsustainable.
Yeah.
And it proved to be unsustainable here too. And I go back to the quarterback rushes, and I know everybody's like, well, you didn't really run it a lot with Patrick Mahomes. Well, Patrick Mahomes had 121 rushes each of his years at Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. They also didn't win anything. Like, this guy doesn't really win anything.
7-5.
And I get that last year with Jaden Daniels, it was a magical run. But him taking all those hits with his frame and fragility feels very much like when they had RG3.
Yeah.
And that was my big concern about Jaden Daniels. And I'm not trying to do like I told you so about Jaden Daniels. What I'm trying to say is that's what your offensive scheme is going to do to Cam Ward. And that's my issue.
And it's not, I go back to like the adapting thing. It's not understanding why that's bad for the long term.
Yeah.
You don't understand. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm making an assumption here, but Cliff Kingsbury not understand that all these hits are bad for Jaden Daniels over time.
But also you're selling out. It's kind of like the University of Tennessee offense. If it's not executing with the way and the pace of play that it runs, your defense is hung out to dry. Dan Quinn's defense,
for sure,
got hung out to dry this year because they were going like that and having threes and outs and doing all these no huddles and not buying them time. It is such a – that's what people don't understand. I understand the defense was not good.
Yeah.
But we saw the defense be pretty good last year, and I'm going to bet more often than not that Dan Quinn knows defense. And I look at this offense, and I'm like, it kind of hung the defense out to dry.
Yeah.
Now, the roster's not that great either on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, it's old.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, if it's old, that's even worse that you're hanging them out to dry in that sense of fashion.
I just had a thought like, man, Mike McDaniel with Washington.
Well, to the point, we hadn't even talked about Mike McDaniel yet, but that was Mike McDaniel. You just got the Why Is Everything for Christmas, so you'll read about this.
I did.
Dan Quinn has such a special relationship with Mike McDaniel. It's going to happen.
I am
fairly convinced.
I didn't even know that. I'm just going off of hearing what Dan Quinn wants out of an offense and thinking about how, like, I don't know if people realize how much Mike McDaniel like revolutionized the run game and the motions and like I'm just like, man, that could.
Well,
that could
I mean, just think about this. You want to take it one step further?
Let's do it.
Why not just bring the entire Miami staff up to Commanders? They just fired a bunch of people. You can bring Anthony Weaver if he doesn't get a head coaching job.
That would cook.
But Mike McDaniel had struggled with alcohol addiction. Mm-hmm. There'd be times where in Atlanta, I believe it was Atlanta. I don't think it was before Atlanta, but I think it was at Atlanta that's where he started his road to sobriety a lot. Because of Dan Quinn.
Mm.
You'll love that, the Why Is Everything when you get started. But like those
Mike
are the
McDaniel.
nuggets you get.
Yeah.
And you get the whole background of Trey Lance and Mac Jones and Kyle Shanahan's stupidity in that whole situation. But like you get a glimpse into all that. And I am convinced. Like I know everybody thinks it's going to be a shoe-in. Robert Saleh could bring in Mike McDaniel. Look, Mike McDaniel's probably already got a request from an alliance. He's going to end up at the Commanders. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's going to end up with the Commanders.
And that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
And then you'll see a real sustainable offense compete up there.
A lot of fun to watch with that quarterback and some of the talent that they have up there.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about Mike McDaniel here in just a second. But let's go to Jeff Hafley and Mike McCarthy. Jeff Hafley, just real quick, I think everybody knows our stance on Jeff Hafley. I'm pretty sure we've talked about him.
I'm in 100% too. I think he's one of the bright young up-and-comers. Well, not young, but he's a bright up-and-comer.
Still in his 40s.
Is he?
He's not much older than me, I don't think. Like I think he's like 46, I think.
47.
47?
Because for some reason I was thinking 57. I've heard the 7 before.
Yeah, well, Matt, it's funny is like everybody's like, Matt Nagy's old. And I'm like, nah, he's just ugly.
Yeah, it's just a hard aging for him.
But Jeff Hafley, I think when you talk about the staff he could possibly build, the adaptability that he brings, and the way his mindset on how to view players and utilize their strengths, I think is exactly what you're looking for. He's been a head coach at the college level, and when you hear him talk, there's a whole thread on Reddit of people making up stories about Jeff Hafley in a negative light. Like there are stories written about him being Krampus. So nobody wants him.
Yeah.
Like they're making up stories about him. They would rather there are a large section in that Reddit group of Green Bay Packers fans that would rather get rid of Matt LaFleur before they got rid of Jeff Hafley. So anybody that tells you that Green Bay fans do not like Jeff Hafley, they're insane.
Man,
they don't know what they're talking about.
I do wonder, this is probably a separate discussion, one of those beers at the bar, but like all of these offensive guys that have come up through the ranks that are running these systems that are cutting edge, the most innovative offense we've ever seen in the NFL, if it doesn't have this impact where it's forcing defensive guys to come up with solutions for beating it. And by virtue of that, time and time again, that exposure to these offenses it starts to create a bulge of defensive guys that are emerging. And it feels like that's where we're headed towards. And it feels like Jeff Hafley is one of those guys that just gets defense, understands how to stop these offenses, but also has that element of relatability to his players. And those two things are what make me look at a guy like Hafley. And I look at Weaver the same way too. And I think those are the coaches of tomorrow. That's where the NFL is headed.
Exactly. So be on the cutting
Shula
edge.
Too. Shula.
Maybe mentor.
Maybe mentor.
Be on the cutting edge of that.
Yes, exactly.
Because you're seeing it with Mike McDonald, D'Amico Ryan. There's a little bit of it's turning that way.
Yeah.
Just for everybody to know, Jeff Hafley's defense ranked 11th in points, 12th in yards. It was 11th in passing yards, 12th in passing touchdowns, and it was 18th in rushing yards and 14th in rushing touchdowns. So a pretty good unit all the way around, especially getting rid of Kenny Clark, their main run stopper. They did get Micah Parsons, but then he went down with injury. But go look at the Packers roster. It's filled with a lot of first-round picks, but these are first-round picks that were trending towards bust status. Like Devontae Wyatt,
Quay
Walker, like they were trending in the wrong direction until Jeff Hafley got there.
Yeah, and give him a ton of credit for kind of figuring out what he had and how to deploy those guys.
Okay, let's go to. And I love Adam Stenavich as a possible thing, and there is a crossover with Mike McDaniel there as well.
How about that?
So there you go. Robert Saleh. I think we've talked enough about Robert Saleh that I think everybody knows where we're at.
I feel kind of funny about it.
Yeah, I just, it kind of is, it's not to the extreme of Kevin Stefanski, but there were things that he himself did at the Jets that led to the continued dysfunction of the Jets. And then everybody wants to talk about the defense. Well, he didn't call plays at the defense. Jeff Ulbrich called plays of the defense for them. And now he wants to call plays here when he comes over with the Jets. I worry more so, though, about his offensive staff.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't want Mike LaFleur. And I love that. I love Matt LaFleur, and I love Sean McVay, and I love Kyle Shanahan. He's not those guys.
Yeah.
And I am just worried about his offensive staff sans Mike McDaniel, unless he could bring Adam Stenavich over from Matt LaFleur up at Green Bay, because he was with Green Bay when he got fired with the Jets.
Okay.
So that would be, but you're taking on a first-time play caller, more than likely, unless you get Mike McDaniel. I don't think you're going to get Mike McDaniel, but
doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it. Yeah. There is. That's the big thing for me with Saleh, is that it just, my spidey sense is tingling.
Yeah.
Like there's, and I think you put it best, like he had a hand in the dysfunction up there. A lot of documentation, a lot of stories out there about things that he did that ultimately fed into the culture there instead of changing it.
Yeah, and that's my thing, is that everybody's like, well, he's a culture changer. I go, where is the proof?
Yeah, because like the 49ers culture seems to be like an animal of its own.
Right, and he wasn't the defensive coordinator. When was he defensive coordinator there? Was he right there at 2017? Oh, I didn't go back and look.
I don't remember how long he was there.
Let's see. Yeah, he was defensive coordinator. So he was there for them to establish that culture. But what was his role? How much of it was him? And why couldn't he duplicate it up at the Jets? Because I don't think that,
good questions.
Dude, we can't call it an organization. Everybody in the chat or listening or talking about Robert Saleh talks about how dysfunctional the Jets are. Okay, so then where's the culture?
I was about to say, but that's an opportunity to build the culture if you're a culture builder.
Right. So that's, to me, is like, I think people see him as a defensive coordinator, see him fiery on the sidelines and this and that, and they think, well, that means that he's a culture builder. Well, no, not necessarily. You actually have to build a culture to be a culture builder.
Yeah.
Now, maybe did he learn stuff Maybe, but maybe he's just Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe he'll be last 1 year, then he'll revert back to old habits. And that's the fear with all these retreads, except for one, but we'll get to them in a minute.
I wonder what the Jets' offensive players would say about Saleh's ability to build a culture.
Garrett Wilson hate it there, and Breece Hall hate it there?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I don't remember it, but like...
And if you had a culture, wouldn't the whole Aaron Rodgers experiment been a little bit better? But everybody's bashing it because they didn't have strong leadership in place.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers kind of ran amok.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where this idea of culture builder is at.
I wish I remembered the exact stories, but it seemed like there was some big problems with some of the Jets' offensive players.
Yeah, and they're blowing it all up. Everything he built, they're blowing it up.
Yeah.
And listen, I know it didn't get better.
Yeah.
But they're blowing it up for a reason, and they went with another defensive guy. Typically, defensive guys don't go back to back. There's a reason why they went with Aaron Glenn, and I think it's because he is a culture guy, and that has been proven.
Mm-hmm.
It has not been proven this year, but I mean they're in the midst of blowing it up. So we'll see next year.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike McCarthy. We'll be real simple on Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's the safest pick. He's an instant floor raiser, but I don't know how much he wants to be part of a rebuild, and I don't know how much left he's got in the tank at his age to where he wants to do this long term, which is kind of what you need, unless you're going to maybe bring on like a Scott Tolzien, who's quarterback's coach.
Hey.
And he's the offensive coordinator, and he learns under Mike McCarthy, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Kind of like Kellen Moore.
I think if you look at the history of head coaches that have won the Super Bowl in recent years, it would tend to support the idea that McCarthy is probably your best shot at getting to a championship level of football.
Yeah.
And that is just to say that he is a proven guy that has won at the highest level. So unless you can get John Harbaugh, Mike McCarthy is probably the only option that's going to check that box. But I do think, like you said, I do think it makes him the safest choice.
Well, okay, so Kellen Moore started off as quarterback's coach that went to offensive coordinator under Mike McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Was he quarterback's coach under Garrett? And then, oh, man.
He might have been under Garrett. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, he spent he was, last 2 years he went from, of Jason Garrett's tenure there, he went from quarterback's coach to offensive coordinator, and then he went to offensive coordinator under Mike McCarthy and stayed. Scott Tolzien could be that. He could be the next Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
And then he could be your next head coach when Mike McCarthy retires. So that would be the big hang up for Mike McCarthy is, again, it's all about timing. Is this the right time for, in Mike McCarthy's eyes, not the Titans' eyes? It's perfect time for Mike McCarthy, but is it the right time in Mike McCarthy's eyes to go and take a job like the Tennessee Titans?
We'll see next Saturday.
Next Saturday. All right. We're saving the best for last, like we said. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's talk Mike McDaniel. Do you want him as a head coach or just offensive coordinator?
I'll take him any way I can get him. Sorry, having our legs out tonight got me feeling a certain way. I really do think we can glaze Mike McDaniel here for a second. I do think that it is rare in this day and age to find somebody that can do something truly unique with offense.
Yeah.
And I think Mike McDaniel has done that with the whatever the motion is with Tyreek Hill that he kind of invented, so to speak. I love his run game. I remember what receiver was on a talk show talking about how Mike McDaniel completely changed the way he thought about the receiver position. And his ability to communicate that and to design plays. And I think his quirky personality, maybe it wouldn't work here right after you had personality concerns from fans about Brian Callahan. Maybe that's a concern for the folks hiring the next head coach. But I look at how he calls the game, how he designs plays, the innovation, the feel. Like, I'm all in. I like Mike McDaniel.
I worry about the leadership aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, he started doing it this year, but this is his 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
But he started listening to players more. He seemed like a real late bloomer on building leadership among his players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if culture is the right word I want to use, but he didn't do a leadership council, which most teams do until this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, I think it kind of empowered maybe the leadership council a little too much, where he's doing, like, they're involved in the game planning on Mondays. Like, they do very long things where they talk everything out, including game plans. I don't know if you really... Maybe you do want the players in there or not, but I think there was a real leadership vacuum with him as head coach, but maybe he figured it out just too little too late.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also why Stephen Ross was willing to, all reports, they were going to keep him until John Harbaugh got fired. I bet you if John Harbaugh had not gotten fired, he'd still be head coach.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was about to bring up, is that I don't know. He's the other guy that I look at and I'm like, I don't know that he really deserved to be fired.
Yeah.
And John Harbaugh opens that door, then it shouldn't really be a knock against Mike McDaniel.
Right.
But here we are. So it is kind of a knock on Mike McDaniel.
Okay, let's end on everybody's favorite coach.
Matt Nagy. Future Titans head coach, Matt Nagy.
Go to 2 hours and 27 minutes into Ramon and Will this morning, their episode this morning with Dan Pompei. The whole interview for Dan Pompei is good. If you go to 2 hours, 27 minutes, Dan Pompei wrote an article about Matt Nagy. Goes even further with the Matt Nagy. So in the article last week I sent, Matt Nagy and Mike Bergonzi went to Matt Nagy to get him to help him prepare for GM interviews. And I've said this numerous times. And I know I get people dismiss this idea and notion of connections. But I told people when Brian Callahan got fired, I bet you $100 Mike Bergonzi, when he went and interviewed for all these GM jobs, Matt Nagy was on his list of head coach candidates. Now, maybe that's why he didn't get the job in some of those places, but I guarantee you he was on the list.
Yeah.
And Dan Pompei took that article even further by saying they would stay around and hang out and bounce ideas off each other if they were in control of a team. Here's what I would do differently. Here's what I would do. They're bouncing ideas.
Yeah.
Guys, I told you when Brian Callahan got fired, it's Matt Nagy. Like, if it's not Matt Nagy, that means that whoever they hired is A, Mike McCarthy, B, John Harbaugh, or C, someone that fucking impressed the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And so it's a win-win situation if it's not Matt Nagy. But
true.
If it is Matt Nagy, I keep saying constantly, it's not going to be as bad as you think.
Yeah, I'm still there.
But there's still issues I have and worries and concerns about the staff he will build and bring. And did he really learn from his time in Chicago? Did he really learn from his time back at Kansas City? Because Cliff Kingsbury said he learned and then he didn't learn.
It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to show it.
Yeah. So let's go to the 2018 Chicago Bears book, which we have talked about on this show before. He was play caller. He won't be play caller here, which is also an interesting dynamic to this whole thing. But let's talk about the 2018 Bears offense and what you've gleaned from that book.
Yeah, reading it a little deeper, like there's a lot of four verts in that offense. They ran four verts. Talked about Cam Ward's comfortability with that concept from what he did at Miami. And then I got to the run game part, and that 2018 Bears team, their bread and butter in the run game was inside zone, which we talked about personnel-wise. The Titans, when they started running more inside zone this year, all of a sudden the run game's a lot better.
Yep.
So those two things like stuck with me. There's a lot of other stuff that he did that is kind of West Coasty, borderline Air Coryell-ish that I feel like allows for the creativity of Cam Ward to shine through, the playmaking ability, the freelance ability. I just kind of feel like it would be a nice marriage from a conceptual, schematic standpoint. I feel like Nagy's stuff that he ran in Chicago anyway fits this personnel group.
Yeah, we also talk about the philosophy of a play caller and the feel for your game. And again, Matt Nagy's not calling plays, but his philosophy and approach to the offense that year was like, oh, Mitch Trubisky's getting out over his skis. He's getting rattled. Mm-hmm. Let's call a few plays.
They had special packages that he specifically went to get Trubisky settled down or into a rhythm.
Yeah. And I think when you kind of look at that from a standpoint of a coach, it's recognizing he never really tried to ask Trubisky to get outside of himself, because I think he probably knew Trubisky's good, he's not great.
Well, and it's funny, to Nagy's credit, how many times, and the way Bobby Peters writes these books out, if you haven't read one, he'll go over a concept, he shows play diagrams, lists out all the times they ran that play during the season, gives you a brief overview of the concept, and then he has sections where he explains why the concept worked for the Bears, why it didn't work. I don't know how many times you read the why it didn't work section, and it's, well, Trubisky made a bad throw. Trubisky held on to the ball too long. Trubisky didn't make the right read. Like, I get that people, I get there's a symbiotic relationship, and it's not to say Matt Nagy is completely absolved of not being able to develop Mitchell Trubisky, but I think in this case, when we look at it, time eventually told us Mitchell Trubisky was not deserving of his draft position and the expectations that came with that.
Like, and I think there's a little bit of a sense of that with Kyler Murray, right? Because
Sure.
I see people will say, well, maybe Kyler Murray is good, but not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And or some guy will say, well, Kyler Murray stinks, so Cliff is good. That there may be a little truth there, but why aren't you giving that to Matt Nagy? Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's the thing to me, is that people will make all the excuses for Kevin Stefanski. They'll make all the excuses for Robert Saleh. They'll make all the excuses for Cliff Kingsbury. But they'll never make an excuse. They'll ignore all of that excuse making and dump all that on Matt Nagy, when truth's always somewhere in the middle. But Matt Nagy, of the four of those guys, is the only one with a winning record in their first time.
Yeah. So,
and let me tell you something. We went through those Chicago Bears a few episodes ago drafts. They were terrible.
Yeah. So the biggest thing,
just real quick, Trey Burton, Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, that and Mitch Trubisky. That's who he was working with when he went 12-4.
It wasn't no Caleb Williams, Darnell Wright, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore. That's for damn sure. Someone just called him Mitch the Bitch in the chat, and I just lost it. What a nickname. Well done, J-Dub.
Someone's like, I'm not with the retelling of Nagy's tenure. His defense was carrying him. I mean, they still were 12-4 with an offense, and what we're trying to tell is what he did well from a philosophy schematic standpoint.
So
we're not trying to say he was the greatest head coach and didn't deserve to get fired. Obviously, they overvalued what really Justin Fields was as a pro, which I tried telling people, but then you got called. Remember that cycle, you got called racist if you pointed out anything bad about Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody changed their evaluation because one guy on national TV told everybody they were racist for not thinking that Justin Fields was good. And everybody changed their evaluation on Justin Fields, except for me. I did not. But to the point is like, then you stack bad draft classes, then you stack a guy that was in over his head. He had a more thin resume than Brian Callahan. So I'm not excusing Matt Nagy, the head coach, the communicator, the guy who didn't do this or didn't do that. What we're talking about is Matt Nagy, the offense.
The coach.
That does not mean that he will be a good head coach.
Yeah.
But maybe
still have those concerns about like the locker room rot and like his losing connection with the players, that sort of thing. Like that's the thing. That's the main issue with Matt Nagy is like, is he just that guy? Like, or has he learned, and can he actually put what he's learned into practice to be a better bridge to his players? Like, that's the concern for me. But I haven't even told you like what impressed me the most about
what
Matt
impressed
Nagy.
you the most about Matt Nagy?
You get to the section on inside zone and how they kind of build some of their RPO concepts off, or built some of their RPO concepts off of it. And I was blown away at the bit Bobby Peters writes about how he tweaked the scheme to fit the players. When you're running inside zone, like sometimes your tackle's going to help with the block, and then they're going to climb to pick up the linebacker, and you're asking the tight end to pick up the edge. And that year, Nagy kind of recognized, hey, my tackles aren't very good in space. They're not very athletic and quick. It's a struggle for them to reach the linebackers at the second level. Also, I've got Trey Burton, and
Havana
asking.
You go ahead.
Asking, she's looking like she wants to defy you.
Wow.
Just saying. So then you've got Trey Burton as your tight end, and you're asking him to block a defensive end. So not great.
Right.
The base concept. So what Nagy did was he actually had the tight end insert and come around and go up to the second level to get that linebacker, and had his offensive tackle just take the defensive end and still run inside zone with that. And to me, that was like, oh shit, man, he understands what he has, understands the weaknesses of his players on this play, and he has tweaked the scheme so that they accomplish the same thing, but the players are in position to succeed better. And that to me was a coaching point that I thought, man, that kind of fucking rips.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking cool.
The issue or caution, again, we go back to the communication with his players as head coach, is like, now he wants to be just a CEO. So that obviously means that he wants to be a guy that's constantly connected to every player, not just the offense. And I think that's where you see it happen all the time. We saw it here with Brian Callahan. He wanted to focus too much on the offense, not enough on the team.
Yeah.
That's one sign that I feel like, okay, maybe he has changed.
Mm-hmm.
But then I go back to the concerns of building a staff. He goes back to the Chiefs. Where's his connections coming from? Now, does that mean that he's not building those connections outside of the Chiefs, and talking to people and doing this and that? I don't know. We can't say that.
Yeah.
We can't say that we think that he's changed and everything. We can hope that he's changed, but this is also why that I have him a little bit lower down my list, is because, I think I would like to see him be a play caller before I see him be a head coach. And I know that's counterintuitive. It's because he's not going to be a play calling head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would like to see, okay, well, how well can you adapt your scheme?
Yeah.
And I know we saw it with the Bears, and I know that there's a talent deficiency that goes along with this. And I understand that, hey, he's the head coach. He probably gave opinions on those players. Unless we know for sure which players he pushed, kind of like what we know with John Elway and Josh Allen versus Vance Joseph and Bradley Chubb, or the fact that Mike Vrabel wanted Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, unless we know, and Mike Vrabel wanted Andre Dillard. There's a pattern there.
Yeah.
Unless we know from accounts that he wanted a specific player, it's hard that goes on the GM until further notice.
Fair enough.
But I'm sure he gave, like, oh yeah, we could do something with that. We could do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything with that. We don't know. At the end of the day, you can give an opinion on a player, and then they still draft the player that they want to draft.
Sure.
Good GMs kind of go with their gut.
Sure.
So, but again, I go back to my concerns are building a staff. My concerns are, did he actually learn? My concerns are not, is his offensive fit? Can he work with these pieces that they currently have? But also, what's going to happen with the defense? Like, is the defense just going to get ignored? Who's the defensive coordinator, as well as who's the offensive play caller? Like, those are huge questions surrounding Matt Nagy.
Would Nagy be an option as a candidate that might retain Denard Wilson?
And is that a good thing?
Yeah.
That's a possibility for sure.
Yeah.
But it also, is that a good thing? We don't know.
Don't know.
And so it's just, for me, it's like Borgonzi would draft, Matt Nagy would not draft. I think we would have a clear delineation of power and a clear understanding of Matt Nagy. I know what you want. I know what we need.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And the whole Kansas City offense thing, I'm not going to give him credit for the fact that when he got back, they won 2 straight Super Bowls at Kansas City. I'm not going to give him credit, but I'm also not going to give him blame for all the stuff. The same time he showed up is the same year that they traded away Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And then their roster started deteriorating, and their roster got older, and their roster had no wide receivers, and their roster has a wide receiver that is getting suspended every which way from Sunday.
I'm telling you, man, people, this is another separate conversation, but like, people are sleeping on how bad the Chiefs have drafted the last few years.
It has not been great at the Chiefs, because everybody's like, well, they got Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. Well, Rashee Rice can't stay out of trouble, and Xavier Worthy's not really that good.
He can't play wide receiver.
Yeah,
they drafted a wide receiver that can't play wide receiver.
They don't want to commit to the run game at all.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like, well, they'll definitely draft Jeremiah Love. I don't know. Will they? Or will they draft a wide receiver?
Revolving door at offensive tackle.
Yeah, their offensive line was terrible this year and all that kind of stuff. So, like, it's hard to pin I'm sure he's not blameless in some of that, but it's Andy Reid's offense. It's Andy Reid's team.
Yeah.
It's Andy Reid and Brett Veach's team, but it's really just Andy Reid's team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to say, well, they're definitely worse because of Matt Nagy. They made 3 straight Super Bowl appearances and won 2 of them. That sounds terrible.
He's not dragging this franchise down.
All right. Did we cover everybody?
Anthony Weaver at all? Or are we just going over people?
Just going off of who they've interviewed, because they haven't interviewed.
So who are your top 5 candidates at this
point? Out of the people that my top 5 candidates overall are, I think Hafley 1. Okay. Chris Shula, I'm going to still keep Chris Shula at 2.
Okay.
Weaver Fever at 3. Mike McCarthy at 4. Matt Nagy at 5.
I think I go Harbaugh at 1. I think I go Hafley at 2. Weaver
I just don't think Harbaugh's going to. I'm just totally eliminating Harbaugh.
Weaver at 3, Shula at 4, and then I think I would put McCarthy at 5.
Yeah.
Would be my top 5.
Yeah, I would say, like, I would love John Harbaugh would clearly be my number 1. I just don't think it's happening.
I would be okay with Nagy, though.
Yeah.
And maybe, like, after Nagy is where I start getting a little nervous about the hires.
That's where I'm at.
You talk about, like, the Art Smiths and the Vance Josephs and
even the
Jason
Jesse
Garrett's.
Minters kind of scare me a little bit.
It's kind of weird that they haven't requested him yet, no?
Yeah. Yeah. So I found that weird, but I also find it weird they haven't requested Clint Kubiak.
I don't.
You don't find that weird at all?
No,
because you think the Nepo thing scares them?
I kind of get it. Like, this is an oversimplification, but it's going from the son of a legendary NFL coach, offensive guru, to son of an NFL coach, offensive guru. Just that Kubiak has the experience calling plays and the track record of having some successful offense wherever he's been.
My big thing about, I guess, my big delineation from Nagy and the rest of the crew is that at least he won. He's made the playoffs twice. Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, and listen, we can put some blame on him for those people, Chase Daniel. But I have major concerns. Like, it goes from, for me, it's like, Hafley, and I guess, I don't know, how do I translate this on radio? Hafley's way up here.
Yeah.
And then Shula's with them, a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 ladder rungs down. And then Anthony Weaver's like 2 ladder rungs down from Shula. And then Mike McCarthy is like right there under Weaver. And then it goes down a couple of rungs and it's Matt Nagy. And then it goes down a couple of rungs and, like, all the way down to the floor for the rest of them. I don't have faith.
I think I look at it in a couple of different buckets. I think there's the bucket of guys that I'm like, we have no reason to believe that they're going to turn this franchise around.
Right.
Then there's a second bucket of stabilizers. So that first bucket is where I would probably put, like, the Vance Josephs and the Arthur Smiths, where it's like you don't really like. They don't have a track record of success as a head coach.
Yeah,
and those guys I don't feel like pan out very, very often on the second run. Then you got a second bucket of stabilizers that I think I would put like the Mike McCarthys, the John Harbaughs. Let's entertain the idea. Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, maybe even Jason Garrett. I might put in that because I'm not as outraged about that as most people are. But then I also have this other bucket that I go back to something I said earlier, and it's unproven guys, but you're talking about the coach of tomorrow. And that's where I would put the Hafleys, the Shulas, and the Weavers. And those are the guys that I think would get me most excited about the future of the Titans. Not just, okay, I get it, and this is going to raise the floor of this team, but maybe on down the line, we get the guy that's going to be that coach of tomorrow. I think there's already a few of those guys here.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not the Titans want to roll the dice, take the risk on an unproven coach.
Where are you at on? Are you a little surprised Jack Del Rio hasn't gotten interviewed yet?
I am, because I was told in our chat that he would fix the.
Where is Lou Man? I never see Lou Man anymore.
Shut it down. Lou Man said, "You guys fucking suck. I've had enough. I'm out of here. I'm not coming back."
Where did Jack Del Rio coach after this? Like is he over in Europe?
I don't know. I have no idea.
He loves Jack Del Rio. Such a random coach.
Yeah. Jack Del Rio. What's the craziest name you've gotten in the chat? Because I'm sure like you're right in the thick of all this.
I still think John Gruden is the craziest name in the chat.
Yeah.
There were people during Titans Talkback that thought Mike McCoy deserved an honest shot at the job.
Yeah, that was a thing for a hot minute.
Yeah.
I've seen Jeff Fisher's name pop up. Bring him back. Yeah, Jack Del Rio. That's a name that makes me chuckle. I miss Lou, man. He fucking hated me.
I don't know, but like apparently Ruben Bain, Bustin Diamond, who has been one of the biggest Baniacs out there, is out on Ruben Bain. So I don't know what's going on in this game tonight, but he's out on Ruben Bain.
I am so stoked to watch this tape back because Ole Miss has a left tackle that is just a fucking mammoth. He is the walking Titanic. Diego Pounds was kind of holding out hope we'd get him in Mobile, but he's committed to the Shrine Bowl instead. I kind of want to see him go to work against, like, everybody talks about Bain's power. Let's see Bain match up with that dude and see what happens.
All right. I think that'll do it for us. Anything else?
Yeah. You want to talk about Jack Pyburn for a little bit, or Zion Young?
We got to save those for when we
Luke Altmaier.
We don't want to put our best stuff all in one episode.
Yeah, you're right. We
need to space
we still have a few weeks before the Senior Bowl.
We got a few weeks before Senior Bowl. All right, that'll do it for us. This has been Football Under the F Words, and you have just been effed.
Our sexy legs.